And we're back. Welcome to my preview and predictions for day 2 of match day 7 for the European qualifiers for the World Cup. This video is going to be covering the 8 matches taking place tomorrow in Europe for these World Cup qualifiers. If you want to see my previews and predictions for today's matches, you can do so by clicking the link at the top of your screen right now. And you still have time to have your say on the matches we're going to be covering in tomorrow's video ahead of the matches on Saturday. You can do that by clicking the link in the description or in the pinned comment of this video to take you over to the community page to have your say on those matches. And then this evening, once tonight's matches have been concluded, I will then post the community polls for the next set of matches that will then be being played on Sunday. As always, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video if you enjoy all of my preview and prediction series. Share it with a friend, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here with notifications turned on so don't miss out on any of the daily uploads over the course of this international break. And if you want to be even more awesome and gain access to even more previews and predictions from myself, you can click the join button at the bottom of your screen right now to become a member of the channel, giving you access to all 5 major leagues across the course of this season. As for today then, these are the matches we have got taking place tomorrow night in the European Championship qualifiers, or European qualifiers for the World Cup, should I say. So let's get straight into it with Group A, and our first match in Group A sees Germany taking on Luxembourg. It's been a somewhat shaky start for Germany so far, of course losing their opening match to Slovakia in this group away from home and then needing 2 goals in the second half to see off Northern Ireland at home. So really not the best of starts for the German side. However, for Luxembourg, it's really not been a good start for them. They've been at home for both of their 2 opening matches, losing to both Northern Ireland and then Slovakia. So now travelling, shall I say, for their first away game of the group against who is on paper by far the best team in this group. It's really not looking good for the away side in terms of getting a result in this opening fixture. In terms of the team news coming into this one, Germany have yet another injury problem, with Rudiger being the latest to miss out, joining the likes of Jamal Musiala and Kai Havertz in the injury room as things stand. They could also have a potential goalkeeper problem coming into this match. There are rumours that Baumann has picked up some sort of illness. He's played the last couple of games for Germany. They're obviously already without ter Stegen, no longer plays for Germany. So there is a little bit of issues regarding the German goalkeeper situation, but I think even if they're relying on their 4th or 5th choice goalkeeper for this match, it really shouldn't be an issue coming up against Luxembourg. In terms of Luxembourg, one of their key players, German-based St. Pauli forward Sinani, is going to be suspended for this match after getting booked in the 2 opening fixtures of this campaign. Realistically, this really shouldn't be too hard to call. There's no previous head-to-head record to speak of between these 2 sides. Obviously, I'm going to go for a German win here, and I'm going to go for a 4-0 win to the home side. Much harder to call the second game in this group, in my opinion, and to be honest, given how well we've done so far in these European qualifier predictions throughout the course of this process so far, I have to say this individual video is probably the hardest we've done so far. There's a lot of 50-50 games, shall I say, coming into today's video, and this is certainly the first of them. We've got Northern Ireland taking on Slovakia. Now, coming into this one, Slovakia start on 6 points, having beaten Germany at home and then winning away in Luxembourg. Northern Ireland also winning away in Luxembourg, but they're only on 3 points, having lost away to Germany. So I wouldn't say there's much to split between them, given how they sort of perform respectively home and away. Northern Ireland actually got a better result away in Luxembourg than what Slovakia did. So as impressive as it was that Slovakia beat Germany at home, it shouldn't really take away too much from the fact that, you know, you'd give Northern Ireland much more chance of beating Germany at home as well, although I still think it was a surprise to see Slovakia beating Germany. Coming into this one, it is very much a home versus away record that should be considered. Northern Ireland are unbeaten in their last 4 competitive matches at home, whereas for Slovakia, their win in Luxembourg was their first away win in a competitive match in any of their last 5. So they're not the best travellers, and Luxembourg are a team you would just expect them to be anyway. Northern Ireland, although I would still probably say Slovakia on paper should be favourites, it's a much trickier ground to go to. There are 30 places in the world rankings between them in Slovakia's favour as well, so like I've said, you would expect Slovakia to be the slight favourites. In terms of the team news, there are no fresh concerns for Northern Ireland coming into this one, but there is a big absentee for Slovakia with one of their key players in Lobotka of Napoli. Looks like he's going to be missing not only this game, but the next game as well in the week. And then also, given the extent of his injury, it looks like he could potentially also miss the final 2 qualifying games in this group as well. So could be massive connotations for them if they don't get him fit, considering, of course, only the top 2 sides can make it to the make it to the World Cup, either by qualifying automatically or going into the playoffs. Speaking of playoffs, that's where these 2 sides last met back in 2020 in a qualifier playoff for the European Championships. On that occasion, it was a 2-1 win to Slovakia, but that was after extra time, with it being a 1-1 draw on the night. So really, again, that was, of course, 5 years ago, but I don't think much has changed in these 2 sides' makeup since then. I still don't think there's a lot to split between these 2 sides. Although I still think Slovakia should be considered the slight favourites, I wouldn't say they're anywhere near overwhelming favourites. And I think with Northern Ireland's home record, they can still get a result in this fixture. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw in this one. Not really much to split between them at all. On to Group B, and we go from Slovakia to Slovenia, who will be coming into this game at the bottom of Group B, having drawn at home to Sweden and then losing 3-0 to Switzerland. They now travel to Kosovo, who also lost to Switzerland, although they lost 4-0 to the Swiss, but they did beat Sweden 2-0 at home last time out. So again, early indications suggest that there really isn't much to split between these 2 sides, but you'd probably, given the home record of Kosovo, have them as slight favourites coming into this, especially when you consider that in their last 4 competitive matches at home, they've actually won them all, whereas for Slovenia, they've only won 1 of their last 5 away competitive matches, although to their credit, they have still drawn 3 of them. In terms of the team news, once again, no fresh injury concerns for either side, but in terms of the home side, they are going to have a player suspended, with Emma Lahu suspended for this one after getting sent off against Sweden after only being subbed on in the 84th minute. He somehow managed to pick up 2 yellow cards in the time remaining back then. Just like our previous game, these 2 sides last met in 2020. Back then, it was in the Nations League, so you got a home and an away game for them back then, with Slovenia actually coming out on top on both fixtures with a 1-goal margin in both. Since then, though, I think Kosovo have massively improved. They've got that really, really good home record running at the moment. And even though I think most people will probably have Slovenia as the slight favourites for this one, I actually think that the home side are going to take it once again. Honestly, though, I do think that all 3 results are possible for this one, but I'm going for a very narrow 2-1 win to Kosovo. Other game in the group is another really tough one to call, because you've now got Sweden taking on Switzerland. However, coming into this, Sweden's form not very good. They drew with Slovenia and they lost to Kosovo in their opening 2 matches, whereas for the Swiss, they have been absolutely fantastic, beating Slovenia 3-0 and Kosovo 4-0, and they've managed to score 7 goals, obviously, in those 2 games without conceding a single goal. Crucial thing to be taken into consideration, though, is that this is Sweden's first home game of the tournament so far, and this is also the Swiss's first away game of the tournament so far. So even though the Swedes have been poor away and the Swiss have been good at home, you can't really read into that too much when you now have them coming up against different opposition in regards to the fact that they're now home and away for the first time, respectively. In terms of the team news coming into this one, there are no fresh concerns for Sweden coming into this, which means that finally they should have a fully fit Gyökeres and a fully fit Isak coming into this, with obviously Isak not at full fitness come the last international break. They will both be expected to start for Sweden in this match. For the Swiss, it's not looking good for them because both Abisha and Zakaria are out for them with injuries coming into this. So you would again give a little bit more in favour of Sweden when it comes to the team news. The last time these 2 sides met was way back in 2018 at the actual World Cup itself, and back then it was a victory for Sweden, but again, that was 7 years ago on a neutral ground. You cannot read anything into that realistically, considering how much these 2 sides have changed since then. Ultimately, again, makes it really tough to call, but I think the way these 2 sides have started this competition so far, I actually think Switzerland are going to continue that run of form. I think most people are probably going to still have the Swedes as favourites, given the talent they've got in those attacking areas of the pitch. But I just think Switzerland all round have been so much better so far in this tournament. And if they can get the victory here, they are well on their way for qualification. The Swedes, of course, desperately need the win with just 1 point from their opening 2 fixtures. I can definitely see it going either way once again, but I'm going for a 2-1 win to the away side. We'll see what happens in that one. On to Group D, and I would say this one is not as close as some of the other ones we've spoken about so far. This is France taking on Azerbaijan. France have won 2 from 2 so far. Azerbaijan lost 5-0 to Iceland before drawing at home to Ukraine, which, to their credit, is actually a pretty good result, in my opinion. But given how easily France dispatched Iceland and Ukraine, not really much of a surprise that I think France are going to beat Azerbaijan at home. If you want any more indication, France are currently ranked 2nd in the world. Azerbaijan currently ranked 124th. And Azerbaijan haven't won any of their last 11 games coming into this, which is by far their toughest test so far. In terms of the team news, the French are going to be without Chouameni. He is suspended for this match, but if you're going to pick a match to be suspended for, this is the one. And I also do think that the French side are going to make some changes to their starting lineup. They've got a big game against Iceland on Monday. That's going to be probably a group decider, depending on how the other game in Group D goes tomorrow night. But I think the French will rest their key players ahead of that game against Iceland, because realistically, with the squad depth they've got, they should be beating Azerbaijan regardless. From an Azerbaijani perspective, they have no fresh concerns coming into this. Also, no previous head-to-head record to speak of between these two sides. Obviously, like with our opening fixture, I'm going to go for the French win here. I think anything but a dominant France victory would be considered a major upset, and I'm going to go for a 6-0 victory to France, considering they also lost to Iceland 5-0 earlier on in this group. Speaking of Iceland, they will now be hosting Ukraine in the other fixture in Group D. And although I think this has the potential to be another really tough one to call, if you again look at the form guide of these two sides coming into this fixture, I actually think there is a clear favourite for this match. Iceland are currently on 3 points from their opening 2 matches, beating Azerbaijan 5-0, but then only losing 2-1 away to France. Like, that's a pretty good performance against one of the best sides in world football. I don't think that should be massively overlooked in the slightest. Whereas for Ukraine, in their matches against France and Azerbaijan respectively, they were beaten at home 2-0 by France. That game obviously being played in Poland for obvious reasons. But then they only drew with Azerbaijan. So they're certainly not playing at the same sort of level that Iceland are so far in this tournament. And although there's a 50 rank disparity in the world rankings in favour of Ukraine, for me, Iceland should definitely be considered the clear favourites for this match. Furthermore, Ukraine have a bunch of injury concerns. Sigankov has made it into the squad, but is still a doubt for this match. Captain Zinchenko is out of the squad altogether, whereas for Iceland, they have no fresh concerns coming into this match. And I just think they're a side on form. They've got everyone fit. They're up against a struggling Ukraine side at the moment. They're at home. They've got the prospect here of really nailing down a result, which could near enough guarantee second spot in this group come the end of qualifying, which will be enough for a playoff spot. I think Iceland are going to end up taking this game. They did meet a few years ago in the Euro playoffs. In that occasion, it was a victory for Ukraine by 2-1. But personally, this time around, I can see the exact same thing happening, but in favour of the home side. So that is what I'm going to go for. I'm going for a 2-1 victory to Iceland. Finally then, it is Group J, and our opening game in Group J sees Kazakhstan taking on Liechtenstein. Two sides who basically have nothing to play for in this group as things stand. Kazakhstan are on 3 points from their opening 5 matches. Liechtenstein are on 0 points from their opening 5 matches. And yes, Kazakhstan's 3 points so far in this group were in the reverse fixture away to Liechtenstein. On that occasion, it was a victory of 2-0. If you want to make it any more obvious why I don't think Liechtenstein are going to get anything from this match, in their 5 matches so far, they have lost all 5, they have scored 0 goals, and they have conceded 19. It has not been a very good start to these qualifiers for Liechtenstein. For Kazakhstan, they've actually also failed to score any of their last 3 matches, but they did score 2 away to Liechtenstein, so stands to reason they should be getting at least that amount at home to them. In terms of the team news, there are no fresh concerns for Kazakhstan, but for Liechtenstein, they do have a man out, and I'm going to butcher this guy's name, Obavadica is suspended for them after picking up a yellow card in the previous fixture, meaning he's accumulated enough to be suspended for this game. The only head-to-head record between these two sides is the previous fixture earlier on in this competition, and that was obviously a comfortable win for Kazakhstan. I don't see any other world where this isn't another comfortable victory for the home side. I'm going for a 3-0 win to Kazakhstan. And then finally, it is Belgium taking on North Macedonia in what is an absolutely massive game in the context of this Group J. Both sides coming into this off the back of really good performances last time out against Kazakhstan and Liechtenstein respectively. It was a 5-0 victory for Macedonia. It was a 6-0 victory for Belgium. So both sides absolutely full of confidence. But this is how the group stands at the moment. Macedonia are on 11 points from their opening 5 matches. The side not playing over the course of this match day is Wales. They're playing England tonight in a friendly, and I'm going to be there, so no post-match reaction for that. But Wales currently sit in second in this group. They have 10 points from their opening 5 matches, just 1 behind Macedonia. And then Belgium are also on 10 points, but they do crucially have a game in hand. So they've only played 4. Wales and Macedonia have only played 5. So if Belgium can get the victory in this match, they'll put themselves in a position where they're ahead of the other two sides with still that game in hand on Macedonia. So it's a big, big match. Macedonia realistically have to not lose, whereas a victory for Belgium sees them in a very, very strong position. In terms of the team news for Belgium, there's still no Romelu Lukaku, but fellow Napoli Belgian Kevin De Bruyne is on absolute fire so far for club and for country, and you would expect him to play a starring role once again, no matter who actually starts up front for the Belgians coming into this. For North Macedonia, they're going to be without right back Iljevic, something like that. Can't say his name properly. He is going to be suspended for this one for accumulation of yellow cards. It should actually be noted that in the reverse fixture on match day 1, it was a 1-1 draw between these two sides in Macedonia. So it's certainly not out of the question that the away side can produce another result here. I think that's what they're going to be aiming for. I don't think there's much merit in them going for a victory here. A draw should be enough if they can then end up beating Wales in that crucial fixture. But ultimately, I do think the form that some of these Belgian players are in, they're the home side now. You would expect them to come out on top in this fixture. So that is what I am going to go for. I'm going to go for the Belgian win, and I'm going to go for 3-1 to the home side. And that is going to be it for today's video. As always, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. But before I leave you, let's see what you guys have been voting for over on the community page. And this is what you think is going to happen in these matches. Basically, everyone thinks Germany beat Luxembourg. A lot of you think Slovakia are going to Northern Ireland to get the victory. A lot of you think Slovenia are going to Kosovo to get the victory. A lot of you think Sweden are going to beat Switzerland. So you disagree with me on all of those predictions. Basically, everyone thinks France beats Azerbaijan. Most people think Iceland are beating Ukraine. Basically, everyone thinks Kazakhstan are beating Liechtenstein. And basically, everyone thinks Belgium are beating North Macedonia. And those numbers don't really add up. And by the powers of YouTube editing, I've updated the final one so you can see that basically everyone thinks Belgium are going to beat North Macedonia as well. As always, a massive thank you so much for watching. We're going to be doing this all over again tomorrow. Don't forget to head over to that community page to have your say on tomorrow's matches. Let's pop my predictions back up on the screen for you right now so it can be the closing shot that you see of this video. I'll be back again first thing tomorrow morning. I'll see you there.